Hello, my name is Eric. I have a project here that it has a couple different parts, so bear with me. Um, the database itself that is going to be storing the data is going to be run off of the Docker. So I just wanted to just quickly let the computer explain what exactly a Docker is.
The Docker platform. Docker provides the ability to package and run an application in a loosely isolated environment called a container. The isolation and security lets you to run many containers simultaneously on a given host. Containers are lightweight and contain everything needed to run the application, so you don't need to rely on what's installed on the host. You can share containers while you work, and be sure that everyone you share with gets the same container that works in the same way.
So basically, I have a Docker set up so it can just house everything that the database needs to do for the data processing. So I'm going to get right to it. I'm going to start it up. Uh, Easier for me to start it up to explain it. So just give me a second here. Just need to go to this file here, open this up, and go to where I have this located. The project, it resembles a human brain, so if you look in my files here, they have things like um, parts of the brain, what they're called. So I'm going to go to Cortex. I'm going to go to text processing, Cortex. And then I'm going to open up a CMD. Alright, so now I have the CMD open. Inside my folder here, I have this thing called Understanding Main. So I'm going to pop it up. And then I created kind of another type of environment, a virtual environment, so that I could run specific Python versions with each other. So that's the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start up my environment. And then I'm going to start it up. I'm going to call up main.py that was in that file. It's a little slow starting up, but there's kind of a lot going on. Just bear with me here. Oh, I want to start my container. I didn't start my container. Maybe that would help. So now that my database container is started up, and should start up now. Okay, here it goes. So it starts up and it's basically connecting to this database here. And it pops up with a window here called Text Processing GUI. So basically the idea here is to put text in here. So I'm going to talk to it. Hello, this is a test. And then I'm going to process the text. This part's a little slow. I don't know if it's because I'm recording. Well, I do know why it's so slow. The reason why it's taken up so much processing power is because I'm using machine learning techniques, and then I'm using machine learning and other data sets to extract information out of whatever text is put into this text processing GUI. and I'm using a technique called natural language processing, tied with machine learning and a couple other things. Sometimes it gets stuck. Um, I don't know why it's doing that. Hmm. Maybe I'll try restarting this. Hello, I'm back. I restarted the project here and pretty much turned the video off right when I did. It popped up here. So I want to show you what exactly is going on and kind of try to explain it. So right when you write that or you start main.py, this text processing GUI will pop up and you'll be able to insert text to it. I'm just going to say hello, this is a test, and then I'm going to hit process text. Now this is a little slow, because of kind of all the machine learning going on, and on top of it recording a video. Um, my computer is also running this this container that runs the database on. So I wanted to jump right into the IMBD dataset that I'm using. So I just want to open it up here. It is the IMDb dataset. You can find it online. It's a big thing of movie reviews. Basically, it's given it stores movie reviews in text, and then it gives it a negative or a positive score. So we have that done over and over, 50,000 times. So that's what the data set is. I'm going to close this so that it doesn't interfere with the program. I think it will. But so I'm using that data set to help me process the text. And the text ultimately is processed and stored into the database. And right here I have pulled up, I'll show you. It is it's called memory.csv file. It's basically a good representation of the database. My database, it's storing some things like the memory ID. We have a timestamp. Um, we have the source, which is basically just the raw, uncut text that is placed into it. We have the conversation context, where it kind of tries to basically rewrites it in a different way. The conclusion is empty right now. The emotion is either negative or positive in here, and it's being generated by that data set that I showed you. The reason why one of the reasons why the program's so slow is because it's doing that and it's running through each one of those 50,000 lines of movie reviews just to find out if each code is it's doing that to find out if each text is good or bad, and then it puts a tag on it. We have the topics here. The topics is also found with machine learning and natural language processing. It's given each topic an ID, a numerical ID, and then it's stored its text variable in there. So here I can see that pool has a numerical value of 0.143 and plus cleaned with the same numerical value. So yeah, I guess it's storing the topics with with a specific key associated with each memory. That's why that's like that. Subtopics here is kind of doing the same thing, but um, supposed to be, different subtopic, regular topic. I'm doing it with named entry recognition. It's basically, it'll record people, names, if you put in a date, like that data is placed here. Actionables isn't really running. Uh, the text metadata, that's stored. Basically, each thing that's processed through there is like made into a blob, and it's called a blob because it processes the text and it gives each text a smaller ID so that it doesn't take up so much processing power to process it. So the metadata is also saved and stored. It's also given a relevance score, and the easiest way to explain this is just to explain if you type into there things that you've done or want to do or things that it perceives good or productive, you'll have a higher relevance score. Um, References and follow up columns are false and unknown, and keywords are there but not really developed. Plan on fixing that up later. But so the reason why I went through all of these is so you could see all of the variables that the database is collecting. Um, and natural language processing and machine learning is filling in all these variables with the program. From there, I want to show you the schema itself. It's called structure gen 1 for generation. This is the Python script, and once your Docker is up and running, you can place all of the basically make the rows and tables and add the keys that is your database. And the memory.csv file is a really good representation of this right here. If you look into this, you can see a lot of the variables that I just explained. Okay, let's go back to the program here. It was denied permission to the memory error because I had it open, so I have to try it again. Again, this is processing text, and then it's putting it into that database. Let's go back to the code. I want to show you like what's going on here. All of this is a lot of the machine learning, natural language processing that's taking place. So next are some functions. This extract actionables isn't really set up very well. I was trying to collect verbs and place them in there for later. But read training data. This reads from that data set so that it can get the vibe of the text. This function generates the memory.cbs file that I showed you. It was a good way to see that everything was working, and it also makes a good data set for later processing, so it was good to have. This also connects to the database, and it actually takes it right from the database to produce the file, so we know everything's updated. This is more stuff to help it write to the file. This is everything that's set up, the structure to insert to the database. We have a lot of some of the variables up here and what they're called in the code: main topic, subtopic, sentiment, category, named entry. So this is all basically the structure that is developed and laid out, and this is kind of like the pointer that will be doing all the work, adding and taking from the database. That's why it's called insert into database. So after all these pointers and all of the variables are set up, we need to actually fill the variables with data. So that's what comes next. First thing that is dealt with in the code is sentiment analysis. This takes the data set of the positive and negative reviews and translates them to make the text positive or negative. Give them a label. So it's kind of like judging the polarity. So that's where that comes from, the positive or negative, and that's going through another data set to understand that. The next thing that happens, or even before that, what happens is language detection. Is it processes, once it gets the code, it sees what language it is, and if it decides that it's not English, it's translated into English before any data processing it. So next thing that's doing after it's placed it, after it's either decided it's English or translated into English, it's giving every character and word a post tag, and then defining it as a blob. And then later, it's going to use the blob. So after that whole unit of text is processed into a blob with post tagging techniques, it's used. It's ready for more natural language processing techniques. The next one I use is extract noun phrase. It's basically extracting nouns from the blob. Text classification. This has to do with more, classifying the text. Named entry recognition. This is using the pipeline, the machine learning pipeline, and kind of using that to figure out if there's any names or anything said. And that puts them in a different category. Text summarization. This is a something that if you type a long paragraph in there, it will summarize it and give it, put it in there as data as a variable. This can be useful for further processing text data information like a memory. So yeah, more summary. Extract topics and subtopics. This is the code that pulls topics and things that it is able to detect from this code, or from the whatever you put in the GUI window, from the text. Main text. This is it's doing some stuff in the database. This is connecting to that local database. Extract main topic and subtopic, and then this is kind of my declaration of the blob. It's way down here, the blob that I was talking about that helps process the text. The blob is the text classification of each word, letter in the text. So this is my path to the data set that I'm using for a little bit of machine learning there, for the understanding if the text is good or bad. This is the procedure to read the training data inside the IMDb dataset, the one with the movie ratings in it. This is me calling the definition, insert into database. We're exporting it into that memory file so we can look at it. And then this is this is running the data processing. It's basically the button here, process text, which it finally went through. And then yeah, and then we're just defining, the characteristics of the window that you input the text, and then that's it. You see. So yeah, that's basically the gist of it. I hope you enjoyed. Hopefully you learned something about memory. Bye.